So I'm up here and you're down here, right? We are all a student of life and everything is an exchange. So I'll tell you a little bit about my week. So this is not my first time speaking this week. It's my first time speaking here, first time speaking to you this week. But through this week alone, about 200 people have passed through my hands. I work in arts education, okay? So on Monday alone, I had 154 students. Next day, I had about 5 classes through workshops and things of that nature. So I love the exchange of this and all of that good stuff, okay? So more background about me. My background is mainly in the arts. I'm that type of girl, okay? In the arts. Now, how did I get started? Well, in 3rd grade, my first official role was Sweetie Potato, okay? And I kind of stuck with it ever since, went to HSPVA, blah, 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 blah. Arts education chose me. Even when I was a child, I did not like children, okay? It chose me, and, you know, you never know how, you know, what certain lessons are meant to teach you, okay? For example, when I was about in the 9th grade, okay, now I had a great foundation. My parents taught me to be confident. They complimented me, everything like that. But in 9th grade, you know, I hit a spot where I just didn't feel too great about myself, okay? I had a teacher who pulled me aside. It was one of the first few weeks of school. Mind you, I wanted to go to this school since I was in the 3rd grade. I was very serious. I was very ambitious. I made it a lifetime goal to go to this school. If Beyonce went to this school, I want to go to this school too. This is where I want to go, okay? So she pulled me aside and she said, "Can I talk to you?" Of course I said yes, because she's a teacher. She says, "I want you to know that you have it. And if this is what you want to do, you can do it." That created a spark for me, okay? Fast forward years later when I taught at HSPVA, she's the person who contacted me. I did not apply. She called me, she said, "Dabrina, you've been a teacher since you were still my student. This position has become available, and you're the perfect person for it." So I was nervous. I'm thinking, I've never worked with high school students. I mean, I've worked with other ages, never worked with high school students. First day of class, I'm shaking. You know, I'm like, man, I don't want these kids to eat me alive. But I did it. And I went ahead and stepped forth and did it because she believed that I could do it. So then I started to believe that I could do it. And I was successful. Now fast forward to the year that I'm teaching. Maybe by the 2nd month of school, I have a little student. Now normally he fails all his other classes. But in my class, he wants to sit in the front. He wants to help me pass things out. All of that. So one day I noticed that he's not participating. He's very quiet, he's in the back. So I pull him aside and I say, "Is something going on?" This little boy bursts into tears. So I pulled him to a different location so that other students don't see him crying. He starts to just tell me all of these traumatic and negative things going on with him at home. So I tell him to take a piece of paper, and I told him to write a list of short-term goals and long-term goals. Now my intention was to say, keep this in your pocket, that way when you slide off track, you have that to refer to. But after he finished, he went to hand it to me, and something stopped me from saying, "Put it in your pocket." Something made me grab it, and I read it, and he was talking about his suicide attempts and things of that nature. So I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do you make this student feel like you just listen to them to go and report it and make them look crazy? Or do you report it? Because by law, when you work with students that are certain things, you are mandated to report abuse. Even if you don't know if it's for sure, you are mandated. You are required by law to do so. So I'm a bit of a hard-headed person, so do I always follow the rules? No. But in this case, you know, it was a Friday, and I couldn't imagine coming back on Monday and they say that he committed suicide over the weekend. You never know what a person is telling you something for. That may have been his last attempt at reaching out. So I prefer for him to be mad at me than for him to go home and, you know, be successful this time. So I told it, and it bothered me the whole weekend. And then when I saw him, he came to school on Monday, and I talked to him because principals got involved, counselors got involved, all these people got involved, so this became blown up for this kiddo. So I pulled him aside again. I said, "I just want you to know." And I explained what I just explained to you all there. And he said, "Well," because he was also teased and things like that because he was gay, he wasn't like his big brother, you know, all kinds of things this kid had eating at him in the 9th grade, okay, a kiddo. He said, "Well, Miss Dabrina," or Miss Sandifer, that's what they called me there. "I was mad at you at first, but I realized, what the hell am I going to be mad at her for? She tried to help me." And that was such a huge relief, okay? So my point in that is to say, you never know something. Now, if I did not go through what I went through in 9th grade, if I didn't experience not feeling so good about myself, would I have been able to identify a difference in him? Okay, so my thing that I went through, okay, and I'm a person who plays poker face. I don't like vulnerability, so even when I'm going through something, it's still like, I don't slack off at work, because I got to collect my checks and things, you know what I'm saying? I keep everything up. It's like a poker face. It's just trucking through. But had I not gone through that, who knows what would have happened to that child, okay? So everything that you encounter, every obstacle that you face is a preparation for something good. Every setback is in preparation for a major comeback. Okay? So that's one thing that I want you to take with you. I know that in this class you guys shared some of your personal stories. Everyone has something that they've experienced that's not so fun. So instead of you allowing your darkest moment or the dumbest decision you've ever made, instead of allowing that to be your defining moment, use it. Use it to your advantage, okay? People such as Maya Angelou, right? She's very respected nowadays, correct? Mm-hmm. Very respected.
Who is Maya Angelou? That's what a lot of them are saying.
Yes. So she was a single mother. She worked in bars that are the equivalent to like a burlesque or a strip club that we know of now. This is how she started off, okay? She was the victim of abuse. I mean, one of my favorite books is her book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sing. All of this kinds of stuff. Skin color made fun of, skin tone, not just her ethnicity, but her skin tone. They refer to her as, excuse my language, shit-colored growing up and things of that nature. And look at her now. So if she would have stopped then, what would have happened now? You understand what I'm saying? If my teacher would not have pulled me aside, what would have happened? If I did not pull that student aside, what would have happened? On my audition day at HSPBA, when that same teacher stood in front of everyone who's about to audition and said, look, this school requires hard work. If you're not prepared for it, get up and leave now. That frankly, and although it was a major goal of mine, that intimidated me. So I'm sitting there like, oh no, can I really do it? I'm looking around, can I really do it? And something made me stay there and look at what happened. Do you get what I'm saying? Yes? Perfect. Okay. Other points I want to make. Seek validation from no one. Validation from no one but your conscience. There's always that thing inside that lets you know if you're going on the right track, okay? Or if you are where you belong. Seek validation from no one, because who are they to tell you? They don't know your journey. They don't know the point of your journey. They don't know the tests that you have to get through in order to reach your testimony. They don't know that. So why seek validation from another human being? A lot of times the most judgmental people, if you look behind their closed door, it's a lot of skeletons, right? A lot of stuff going on. So that doesn't mean to walk around and be very belligerent or arrogant. That doesn't mean that. But don't allow someone else to define you. Just like, we're human. We're going to make, dumb decisions sometimes, bump our heads, stuff like that. As I said, don't allow that moment to be your defining moment. And don't allow someone else to define you. If what you're doing right now makes you happy, then great. If you're a first-generation college student and you've got people in your family telling you, college is a waste of time. You see people graduate and they don't have a job. All this stuff, don't listen to it. Because they don't know, they don't get it, they don't understand, and guess what? They're not meant to. So you seek validation from no one, okay? I recently read an article, and I'm sure that you've seen it, because it kind of went viral. It's about this nurse that worked like in a hospice unit. She would work with patients in their last living moments and living days, and she just, would talk to them and comfort them, and she started to see that a lot of them would have the same regrets before dying. And she started to document it. And I want all of you to look that up and read it because it's interesting. One of the main ones, and the most popular ones, was, I wish that I didn't work so hard. Right? I wish I would have cherished those moments. I believe in working smart, not hard. Currently, I work for 4 different places. 4 different places. Okay? This week, my days have been at least about 10 hours a day. I'm not working hard, though. I'm working smart because I'm doing what I love. I'm doing things that fill me. When I talk about those students, 154 students, I don't know, my week is not normally like this. It's, on and off because I do some like contract works and things of that nature. Things like this where I get to go different places and speak and interact with students and different people. You don't have to work hard. Working hard gets you nowhere. You know what happens when you work hard? You work hard and you put money in somebody else's pocket. Right? You're at the very bottom. You're working hard and all this kind of stuff. Let me tell you what one of my professors told me. A job does not equal security. Doesn't equal security. So when you're in school, yes, that's a part of what you're here for. But use it for other purposes as well, because you can have a job where you can think it's all fancy, schmancy, and it's wonderful. But when they decide to be done with you, done. So consider your future now. You are in college right now. Some of you are freshmen. Don't wait until you graduate or until you're about to graduate to start looking for internships or to start networking. Right now, network with your classmates. You'll be surprised what you will find out once you start speaking to people, what y'all have in common and how y'all can link up. Build your own. Okay? We live in a systematic society. It's a system meant to filter certain people out, things of that nature. Don't you depend on that. And again, don't think that because you went to college that you're going to graduate and everything is going to be okay, especially if you did no work now. Okay? At the end of the day, college is a business too. Hello? It's a business. They want your money. Correct? So you have got to make the best out of it. They hand you that piece of paper. Sometimes that can mean nothing if you didn't make any networks. You have to take your education and your future into your own hands. Look into certificates of deposits now. Look into your retirement options now. Whether you're actually working in your field or not, there are other options to where you don't need a 401k that's through an actual company, to where you can stash things aside. How many people get refund checks in here? I was going to raise your hand, thank you, she's being honest. We got some honesty, boom, boom. Okay, well, guess what? You know how a lot of people get happy and they take their little refund check? I'm going to the gallery, right? I'm getting that stereo in my car. Guess what, boo-boo? If someone comes from a loan, okay, that's due when you graduate. So try your best. Don't accept all of the loan if you don't have to. If you're getting a refund fund from a grant, take a bit of that and put it in a certificate of deposit, which gains interest, much more interest than a savings account. Hey, that's irregular money anyway. You don't get that every month anyway. So if you take $500 out or whatever, you're not really going to miss it. Stash it away. Stash, stash, stash. And then when you graduate, you have a nice little cushion. Or even if some of it is from a loan. If you stash, stash, and stash, and some of it has collected interest, or it has built compound interest, meaning that the interest that you make from 1 year, instead of the bank mailing you that check, it goes to your principal. Okay? So if you start with $100 and the interest rate is 15%, instead of them giving you the $15 that it collected for that year, it goes to the principal, so it's added to the 100. So for the second year, you're building interest on 115 instead of 100. So when you graduate, you can take that amount of loan that you stashed away. It's built interest. You can pay it back and have your little extra left on the side. Okay? So you have to think about these things, okay? Don't wait until you are old and your back hurt, my hip hurt, all this kinds of stuff, look like you're doing some type of, something, no. Don't wait until then for what? Or don't wait until you're on your deathbed to say woulda, coulda, shoulda, wow. Make every moment count and set it up for your advantage, okay? Let me see. Take and absorb pearls of wisdom. Talk to people. Try to surround yourself with people who are doing what you hope to do. Or positive people. Does anyone in here have some negative family members or negative friends who, every time you've got an idea, it's shot down? Or, okay, thank you. Or they're always trying to encourage you to do the wrong thing. You say, man, I got a final. I got to study for my final. They're not in school. What are they doing at home? So, now, this is no judgment here. This is fact, all right? They're at home. The time you call them, hey, what are you doing? I'm in class. Playing my PS3. About to go to the park, play basketball. What are you doing all day? Why are you sleeping? hooping until 4 p.m. What is that? You know, we're not judging those people, but they don't understand that, hey, I'm studying for a final. No, I cannot go to a party with you. I can't. And a lot of times those people are calling you so you can be their ride and stuff anyway. This is fact, okay? So you've got to think, and this does not mean, again, that because you're here, then you are above anyone else. Doesn't mean that. We're all human. We're all made of the same things. We're all capable of the exact same things, negative or positive. So it doesn't mean that we judge them, but we have to use discernment to say, hey, I can't do that, okay? Know your law. You know, if you're riding with some friends that do some questionable activity, and you're driving your car, giving them a ride because they're always mooching, and you get pulled over and there's a bag, the police officer decides to search, and there's some questionable materials in that bag, what's everybody else in the car going to say? Oh, no, it's not mine. Can you say it's not mine? It's your car. So if no one else is taking it, you are. And what can that do? You can be on this path here, and that can throw you way over here, and will follow you and stay with you. So you've got to be mindful of these things, okay? And one of my last things I want to say is be inspired. Find inspiration in anything. Watch, you know, something I like to do, and no one made me do this, but I love watching documentaries. I love reading about people, not to try to copy their path, because their path is not mine. Comparing yourself to someone else, you will be disappointed each time, because you are not living your journey. Whenever you're not living your journey, you're not recognizing all those great blessings and all that awesome stuff. You're not recognizing it, okay? You're not recognizing what you're good at, okay? If you're a tomboy, but you're trying to fit in like your sister and be the girly girl and all this kinds of stuff, you're trying to be someone else. So you'll always be miserable on the inside. So be inspired and in turn, inspired. It's very small. One of my jobs where I work out, I run a community center, and it's not too far from here, but it's in this particular area is known greatly for drugs and prostitution. Okay, so when I'm on my way in and out of work, I see prostitutes, male, female, and transgender prostitutes, regular basis. It's almost like I don't even see them anymore. And it's very apparent. You know, a few weeks ago, there's I call them a team. There's two usual girls. Is what it is. One of them had on a pleather leotard. Her coworker. And you know, it's not my job to judge them, so I am using these terms intentionally because I don't know what made these young women do that. They might have been 12 years old. Mom said, get out there and do that. I don't know. But her coworker had on a pleather skirt. Maybe they were trying to coordinate. I don't know. Okay? But this prostitution, so she's walking down the street, and every car that passes, hey, baby! You know, she's doing all that for each car that passes by. She was literally doing that, yelling. And I'm sitting there, you know, I'm having to go, you know, because my community center is in an apartment complex. I run it for those specific residents. So I'm trying to go into the leasing office. I'm like, Dabrina, please do not laugh. I'm a goofy person. I'm like, please, I have to get out of my apartment. Please don't laugh. If you are on Channel 13 for getting jumped by some prostitutes, that is going to be very embarrassing. A part of your job as a prostitute, you have to be armed. They might cut me. I don't know. So I'm sitting there biting my jaws trying to walk in because, you know, they're walking very leisurely. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. You know, it was very just, you know, out there like that. You know, and police officers pass by like it's nothing. I mean, it's very out there. It's not, you know, discreet. It's just very out there. And, you know, some of them, you know, sometimes, you know, they have their cheeks hanging out. It's just very apparent. Okay? So this is the environment that I work in. So some of my residents, and there's a lot of strip clubs and things like that nearby. So some of my clients are strippers, single parents, male or female single parent. I've got some who have experienced sexual abuse, trauma as a child. One of my favorite residents, she has a story of where her uncle was abusing her. And she finally gained the courage to report it. And they told her, her own family told her, well, if you weren't wearing those little shorts, then he wouldn't look at you that way and mess with you. Then that's not the kicker. After that, they made her live with him specifically for a year. So then this was happening on a very almost daily basis for a year. And she's around 12 years old, so then one day she wanted to go to a school dance, needed a little money for it. Guess what she had to exchange for the few bucks for the school dance? So he did his business, and I am being graphic here because I want you to understand. He did his business, ejaculated on her, and threw money on her and said, "Here, bitch." A 12-year-old. So this is what I hear, people breaking down, kids with learning differences and their parents aren't recognizing it. This is what I deal with. Because I make a difference. Giving that little child a little bit of attention. Or even getting on them a little bit, saying, "Look, I'm not giving you the answers for this. What is 5 plus 5? Don't play. I'm not giving you this answer. You've got this." People crave that. Now, who am I? Am I Barack Obama? No. Am I Oprah Winfrey? No. I'm in a similar position as you. I'm a young person, or some of us may not be young, and that's fine, but you're at a moment in life basically to where you're finding your way. You're getting your feet to step along your path that you hope to be on for the rest of your life, correct? So I say that to say, I hear a lot of people say, "Well, I'm going to donate and do stuff, when I get a little more established." I got a friend who's legally deaf. We met in elementary school, and we kind of stumbled across each other later on as adults. But he's legally deaf. But his speech is not affected at all. He's an amazing writer. He's going to self-publish a novel. And he's also, young and things like that. And I always tell him, "Man, why don't you go and speak to kids at deaf schools?" Not being funny, but they need to see you. They need to see you as a person who works, goes to school, drives, is an intelligent writer. They need to hear you speak. There maybe because he was not born that way. Okay, it's something, he's completely deaf in one ear, had to have an eardrum removed. And in the other ear, it's been continuously worsening. So when we were in elementary school, he did not have to wear any type of hearing aids. Now he's got a cochlear implant, which is an implant beneath his scalp that pretty much uses an alternative way of sending signals to his brain to simulate hearing. So he says that, people probably sound kind of robotic. If I had to compare, that would sound a little robotic. Or if we're, walking together somewhere out in public, hanging out, whatever. If the wind is blowing, I'll stop talking because, if you watch a video that someone's recorded and the wind was blowing, it sounds whoosh. That's what he experiences with his method of hearing when the wind blowing. But I tell him, look, they need to hear how you're a great speaker. Super intelligent guy. And again, his speech, a lot of times if you have a hearing impairment, it affects your speech for some reason. His speech is not affected. You know what he tells me every time I tell him this? "Well, I want to wait until I accomplish something before I do that." You've already accomplished something. What do you mean? You have this impairment, and you're not using it as a disability. You're using it to go onward. You understand what I'm saying? So my point in that is, don't wait until you graduate. Don't wait until you have your master's. I have so many more things I want to do. I want to be bilingual. I want to have my own programs, all of that. But guess what? I may not be there yet, but I'm making those steps towards it. When I'm running a community center, what does that mean? I'm responsible for running, marketing, everything, a complete program. What did I say I just want to do in the future? Have my own program. I work a lot in arts education, okay? I teach a lot. My programs that I want specifically dealing with arts education. So did I have a formal internship? No. I got out there, I grinded, and it was not all by my doing. I think, the stars aligned for me in some ways. But I try to make everything that I do be related to a goal that I have for the future in some way. So I may not be there now. And I want you to think about that. If you have a great goal and someone tells you, "How you gonna do that? You don't have any money." And at one point I started a business that I had no clue about. I was inspired. I did my research. I designed everything it had to do with natural hair care and body care. I did my research. I made everything myself, designed all the packaging, everything. I had someone tell me, it's going to be hard for you because, first of all, you're a woman and you're a minority. Okay. Now, do I have sensitive moments? Yes, but not too many. And I'm very stubborn, so if you tell me I can't do something, okay, watch. That's not out of arrogance, but what you've done is you poured gasoline on a fire. If you And that's what I want you to take with you. If you don't believe in you, and you don't have that mindset, who will? The person that determines what you do and where you go is you at the end of the day. The world can come falling down on you. But what matters the most? How you respond. You can have this type of parents, horrible teachers, whatever. What matters? How you choose to adapt to that. Okay? You could have a criminal record. You could have been a prostitute. You could have been a crack addict. But where are you today? Is that your defining moment? No. As long as you get up and you decide to do something different, that's not your defining moment. That was a part of your journey, and look where you are now. Okay? At one point, you see how I talk about the southern drawl? I don't talk like my dad. I don't know where it comes from, but I sound, kind of southern. I got called Oreo, all kinds of stuff growing up. Where are you from? I still get to say, where are you from? So at one point, sometimes I would try to change the way that I talk, because in theater, you learn how to speak without an accent. So I was like, man, I gotta make that permanent. Gotta make that permanent. Okay? Now, at this point, I love the way that I talk, because guess what? As soon as I say, hello, you know who it is. I bet if you were in this hallway right now and you heard me talking to someone, you'd be like, that's that girl that was just in that class, huh? So a lot of times things that we dislike about ourselves, things that people beat us down about, are the things that make us stand out. Yes? Growing up, I got made fun of for being different, because I wasn't, my parents didn't beat me or choke me or threaten me. They didn't do any of that stuff. A lot of stuff, I was just like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to do that. Or I've always been very work-oriented and stuff like that. Got made fun of. You act old. When I was in high school, because I wasn't, I didn't date or do any of that until, much older than a lot of people by choice. So I would have people ask me if I was gay. All kinds of stuff, which is fine. My best friend is gay. I'm in the hearts. I'm around that all the time. There's no problem with me regarding that, but I'm not. So sometimes I'm like, man, why am I so different? Now I'm like, honey, yes, I am different, boo-boo. This mold was broken after this was made. Okay? And you have to have that attitude, because if you don't believe in you, if you don't stand up and say, hey, you're not treating me the way that I know that I deserve to be treated. Now listen, whatever you're at, don't ask for any more than you're willing to give. Don't ask for any more than you're willing to give. Like some of y'all out here, talking about kind of significant other you got, and you looking real skimpy when it comes to those same qualifications that you're requiring. No. Okay? But believe in yourself, okay? So once again, thank you for allowing me to come in. Congratulate yourself, because guess what? Even if this is your first semester, you're on a journey. You fought through some obstacles and you made it. You just completed your finals. Now you get to take your shoes off and, do whatever. Okay? So thank you again. Be inspired and inspired.
All right.